Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear student teachers, I am Rashid Salim with lecture number 13 of Functional English 1. In this lecture, we are going to share life experiences. Yes, it's one of the common functions, common speech functions that we have to perform. Especially people like me who have spent many years, who are already middle-aged, they have plenty of experiences to share. But even the younger kids, they like to share whatever they have experienced. Probably it is human nature that whatever we have learned, whatever we have done, whatever we have seen, we often want to talk about it. We often want to share it with our parents, with our friends, with our colleagues, etc. So this lecture is really very important because it will help you share your personal and life experiences. But before we move on, let's have a quick recap of what we learned in lecture number 12. In lecture 12, we learned how to summarize a story. So we looked at various stories, short stories, fictional narratives, rather I should call them, and we learned what are the main elements of a story, such as setting, characters, dialogues, problem, and its solution, or in other words you can call them conflict and its resolution. So once we looked at the main elements of a story, it became easier for us to summarize them in our own words. We also learned how to determine important ideas and information. Summary writing involves restating main ideas, and but how to determine what ideas are main, what events are main, and what information is crucial. We learned about that. Then we also learned how to narrate events in a sequence. In fiction, it is very important the way you tell the tale. The sequence or the way you organize events is really important. Just imagine what will happen to a story if you start telling it from the ending. It will mar all its suspense. So narrating events in a sequence is really important, both for the storyteller as well as for the people who are summarizing it. And in the end, you also learned how to retell a story in your own words. So this is what we learned in lecture number 12. We move on and we see what we are going to learn in today's lecture, in lecture number 13. After completing lecture number 13, you should be able to share life experiences. So this is the main objective that we are going to achieve at the end of today's lecture. But in order to fulfill that objective, we need some sub-skills, and we need to learn some grammar. For example, in this lecture you are going to learn how to use simple past tense for narrating past events. In fact, you have already looked at it. When we were talking about stories, we were telling how to narrate past events, and you were unconsciously using simple past tense. Today's main focus is actually going to be on use of present perfect tense for experiences. And in the end, we will differentiate between the two tenses, between simple past tense and present perfect tense. Very often we confuse these two tenses, and since both the tenses talk about past events in a way, sometimes it is difficult to choose between the two. But today we'll learn some techniques and some tips that will help you to appropriately use these two tenses. Remember, prior to this lecture, we have not been focusing on grammar much. We have slightly touched on some grammatical points. The reason is because we are learning functional English, and in functional English we will only look at the functional aspects of grammar, or you might call it functional grammar. So we won't study the theoretical details. Instead, we will focus on what functions various tenses perform. And of course, we will also look at the structure, but we will mainly focus or emphasize on how to use that structure, how to employ that structure in our real speech or in our piece of writing. So after completing this lecture, you will be able to share your life experiences, and in the meantime, you will also learn how to use past simple tense, how to use present perfect tense, and how to combine both, or how to differentiate between the two tenses. So are you ready? Okay, I would like to begin with my own life experiences. Well, I have done and seen and eaten and visited lots of places and lots of things, but I will just talk about few. For example, I have lived in various cities of Sindh and Punjab. So this is one of my life experience. I have lived in various cities of Sindh and Punjab. I've been to China and the United States. I've co-authored National English Curriculum for Class 1 to 12. I've learned French for 8 months. Actually, I completed 4 levels of French. I've taught Chinese to university teachers. So I taught a short course in survival Chinese to university teachers who were interested to go to China and for exchange programs, Okay, and one of the interesting things that I've done in my life is that I have gone bungee jumping. Some of you might know what bungee jumping is, but those of you who don't know, let me explain. Bungee jumping is a kind of jumping. So we have a high platform such as maybe 100 meters high or maybe even more, and we jump from a high platform while an elastic rope is tied to our feet. So once you jump into the air, you are upside down and your feet are tied with an elastic rope. Because it is an elastic rope, you keep on going down and up. So maybe you go down and up for 3-4 times, and finally they let you come down, and maybe you have watched it on television. It is one of the exciting sports. Apparently it looks pretty dangerous. But I won't say really it is dangerous, rather I would say it is adventurous. So maybe this is one thing that I often like to share with my colleagues, that I have gone bungee jumping. I've translated some poems of Sylvia Plath into Urdu. Maybe you know Sylvia Plath is an English poetess and not very easy to understand, and I have translated some of her poems into Urdu. In fact, I have also translated poems of Robert Frost and Philip Larkin. Okay, I've already told you that I've been to China. So what did I do in China that I would like to share with you? One thing is I visited the Great Wall of China. And you know, it's one of the wonders of the world. And so I have visited the Great Wall of China. And finally, if I want to share my professional experience with you. A remarkable achievement that I've made is that I have developed a website for my students. So these are few experiences from my life that I wanted to share with you. And you must have noticed one thing, that while I was experiencing, while I was narrating my experiences, I have used the same grammatical structure. If you just look at this, I've lived, I've been, I've co-authored, I've learnt, I've taught, I've gone, I've translated, I've visited, and I've developed. You would see that I am using have, the short form of have, I've, and that is, so I'm using the same structure in order to share my experiences. Okay, so this is a list of some experiences from my own life, but these are not merely examples. These are experiences that are from my life. These are real experiences, not the fake ones. Okay, now it is your turn. So let me ask you a simple question. What's your professional experience? Yeah, by professional experience, I mean experience that is related to your profession. All of you are teachers, so teaching is your profession. I would like you to share your professional experience. This is important. You know, when we appear in an interview, often we have to talk about the things that we have done, the experiences that we have made. And very often we have to talk about these areas, for example, qualification. So try to think of some sentences that describe your professional experience regarding your qualification. For example, if you have done MA in education, you might call it, you might say that I have done masters in education. I've done BA in education. Okay, similarly you can say I have done masters in psychology or in physics. Okay, then you can also talk about the short courses that you have completed. For example, you can say I have completed a short diploma in computer skills. I have completed a short course in Arabic language, or I have completed a short course in education. Okay, then you can talk about your professional experience, and once again you can say I have taught for 10 years, I have taught for 15 years, I have taught primary school kids, I have taught secondary school kids, I have taught in a university. So you can mention whatever professional experience you have got. Then in the end, if you have any remarkable achievements or awards, like I have got the Best Teacher Award, I have got the Best Teacher Award, or I have got grade A in my diploma. Okay, so using I have and then third form of the verb, you can actually talk about your professional experiences, and this will help you in your interviews, and especially when you are talking about your professional experience. Once you have done that, you can also think of your own life experiences and your personal experiences, just like the ones that I shared earlier. You can also think of the things that you have done, you have seen, you have visited, you have eaten, you have cooked. I mean, any experiences that are worth sharing. Okay, now in order to do some practice, we move on, and I'm going to ask you a question that starts with the question structure, question phrase, have you ever? So I'm going to ask you questions with have you ever. Ever here means that even for a single time in your life. So for example, if I say, have you ever seen a live puppet show? Have you ever seen a live puppet show? This means, do you have an experience of seeing or watching a live puppet show, even for a single time in your life? So what are we going to do? We are going to start our questions with have you ever, and then we are going to complete this question by looking at these prompts here. And these prompts have got two sections in it. The verbs are written in brackets, and I want you to use the third form of the verb here, because that's the form that goes with have you ever. That is the form that we use in present perfect. So you should say, have you ever seen a live puppet show? And then there should be a question mark. I didn't put a question mark here because actually you are going to fill in these dots with these phrases. So the question mark is already there. And then you are also going to think about the answer to it. So your answer could be, short answer could be, yes, I have, if you have experienced it. Otherwise you would say, no, I haven't. This is pretty useful, so I would like you to use it as a practice situation also. So once you have understood it, you can actually use these prompts to ask questions from your colleagues, from your friends, and they can simply answer it by saying, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. And then you can request your colleagues to ask you similar questions, and you can respond by saying, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. And in fact, these prompts are just few. It's not an exhaustive list. You can add to this list. In fact, you can think of some unique experiences, some interesting events, or some interesting sports, some interesting events or life experiences. Okay, let me ask you these questions first. Have you ever seen a live puppet show? Okay, now I don't know how many of you have actually seen a live puppet show. Maybe you watched it on television. Probably all of you watched it on television. But my question is, have you ever seen a live puppet show? Yes, I have. Or no, I haven't. Okay, have you ever cooked biryani? Yeah. I'm sure that all of you have eaten biryani, but my question is, have you ever cooked biryani? Have you ever been to Karachi? Maybe some of you are from Karachi, and some of you have been to Karachi. Have you ever ridden a camel? And you can replace a camel here. You can say a donkey, a horse, a mule, an elephant, anything that you want to mention here. So how many of you have ridden a camel? Okay. We move on, and I would also like to ask you, have you ever killed a snake? Have you ever killed a snake? Yes, I have, or no, I haven't. Have you visited abroad? Abroad means outside the country. So if you have been to any foreign countries, you may ask this question. Have you ever visited abroad? Have you ever played flute? You know, flute is a musical instrument, a wind musical instrument that you play with your mouth. You blow your breath into it and you create music. So have you ever played flute? Of course, you can change the word flute here. You can write piano, guitar, or any other musical instrument, or it doesn't even have to be a musical instrument. You can even think of any sports, anything that can be played. Okay, have you ever swum in a river? Yeah, a very dangerous thing to do, but I'm sure some of you would say yes, I have to this question. Because especially people who live near the rivers in small towns and villages, they usually have this experience of swimming in a river. Okay? Have you ever performed Hajj? Instead of Hajj, you can also say Umrah. Have you ever written a poem? Yes, written a poem either in English or Urdu or Punjabi or Saraiki or Sindhi or Brahvi, whatever language you speak. Have you ever told a lie? Now, very often I give these prompts to my students in the class. I divide the class into pairs and I ask them to go through these questions and ask them alternatively. For example, student A asks question with the first prompt and student B asks question that starts with the second prompt. And once they have completed it, I ask them to prepare their own prompts and ask more questions. This one is really very interesting because some of the students say, no, I haven't. No, I haven't told a lie. Or yes, I have told a lie. It is interesting because those who say, I haven't told a lie, probably it is a lie itself. Okay, we move on. Have you ever flown a kite? Okay. So use it as a practice situation. Use these prompts in order to practice. Have you ever? And yes, I have. No, I haven't. And if you are an English teacher, you can actually use these prompts and similar prompts in your own language classes. All right. Now let's have a look at the structure of present perfect tense. So far we have been focusing on the function of present perfect tense, and you remember I talked about my personal life experiences and I used present perfect tense for that. And then I asked you to give your professional experience, and again you are supposed to give your professional experience in present perfect tense. And just in the previous slide we learned how to ask the question, have you ever? And again, this question is in present perfect tense and its answer is also in present perfect tense when you say yes, I have, or no, I haven't. So right now let's have a look at the structure. Present perfect tense is formed in this way. First of all, you have the subject plus have or has. You know, with I, we, you, and they, and the plural forms of subject, we use have, and with he, she, and it, and singular subjects, we use has. So he has and we have. Then we use the third form of the verb. We also call it past participle, or the third form of the verb. And then we may or may not have an object at the end of the sentence. I've written it here in the bracket because this is optional. So there may or may not be an object in a sentence. Let's have a look at the example. He has won many awards. So in this sentence, he is the subject, has is the helping verb, won is the third form of win, and many awards is an object. So when we make a statement or a positive sentence in present perfect tense, this is the structure that we use. And the example sentence could be, he has won many awards. Break लेंगे यहाँ पर. जी वापस आते हैं. And the example sentence could be, he has won many awards. Okay, if you want to use the negative form of present perfect tense, you only need to add not between the helping verb has or have and the third form of the verb. So instead of saying he has won many awards, you will say he has not won many awards. Or here I have given the example, they have not informed us. They have not informed us. So I have put the word not between have and informed. The helping verb have and the third form of the verb inform. It is very common to use the short form. So instead of saying they have not informed us, we use they haven't informed us. Haven't. Haven't is the short form for have not. And what's the short form for has not? Yes, you guessed it right. It is he hasn't. Hasn't. Hasn't is the short form for has not. Very often in speech, in oral speech, we use hasn't and haven't instead of have not and has not. Okay, then we move on to the questions. And this is how you can form a question. You will use the has or have part in the beginning. You will invert the sentence. In other words, you will use the helping verb before the subject. Right? So has, have will come before the subject rather than after it. So you'll say, like, have you seen him lately? Have you seen him lately? Lately means, yes, you're right. Lately means recently. Have you seen him lately? So I have asked a simple question, and this is a yes-no question. By yes-no question, I means that this question requires an answer either in yes or no. So if someone asks you, have you seen him lately? You can say, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. Okay, we move on. If you want to ask a question and also this is a negative question, how would you say that? You will say, have you not paid the fee? So again, you see, the word not comes just before the third form of the verb. Have you not paid the fee? And here I think I should mention that the helping verb have comes in the beginning and not comes just before the third form of the verb. Have you not paid the fee? We use the word not just before paid, and helping verb have comes in the beginning of the question here. It is also common to say, haven't you paid the fee? And in that case, not will go directly to have, because the short form, you can't split it. You have to use it together. So you can say, haven't you paid the fee? Hasn't he come late? Hasn't he applied for the post? Haven't you identified the problem? Okay, so if we use the short form, then not comes soon after has or have. Otherwise, not is used just before the third form of the verb. Okay, now have you not paid the fee and have you seen him lately? These kind of questions are called yes-no questions. Sometimes you have to form a question that require a longer answer, and usually such questions begin with a question word. So if you want to ask a question that requires a longer answer, then you need to add a question word before the helping verb. So you start your question with a question word, then you say has or have, then you use subject, the third form of the verb, and finally you have an object which is optional. For example, the question word is how long. Here I am asking the question word how long. How long have you been living here? By how long, I mean I want to know the total duration of your stay here. Instead of how long, what other questions can you use? Yes, you can use the question words like what have you done? How have you come? How many books have you brought? How often? How long? How far? So you can have these questions. Other question words could be why, when, where. Where have you been? One common question that is asked in English is, where have you been? So similarly, you can ask questions with where, when, and why. Okay, now we move on to the use of present perfect tense. And if you just look at the 4 pictures here, you would see that present perfect tense is used with actions that have finished. And so basically, present perfect tense is also an action that started in the past, just like a past event, but it finished just at the time of speaking. Okay. So we would say, I have come. He has come. So he started coming in the past, but he has finished it now. Okay, then you have recent action with present result. This word is really important phrase, present result. Basically, present perfect tense is a past event. But why do we call it present perfect? Because this past event always has a connection with the present. If I say he came, I am simply narrating a past event. But if I say he has come, I am talking about the connection between present and past. For example, if you go to an office and ask about someone and you say, may I meet Mr. Thomas, please? Now, colleagues of Mr. Thomas tell you, sorry, he has just gone out. What does that mean? He has just gone out means that the result in the present is that you can't meet him. Okay? Or if I say you have completed your course, you have succeeded in you have passed in your exam, the result is that you can celebrate it, you have been promoted to the next class. So when you say present perfect tense, basically it has some connection with the present. Okay, recent action with present result. Usually the action that has just happened, and usually you use the word just with it. Okay, so usually we use the word just. If something has just happened, if something has happened in the recent past and it has its impact or connection to the present, we'll use present perfect tense for that. For example, I have just. So we use present perfect tense for actions that have finished, for actions that have recently occurred, but they have their result in the present. They are connected to the present. We can also use present perfect tense for actions that are completed and still exist. For example, if I say, I have taught English for 5 years, this means that I have taught it for 5 years and I am still teaching. This means that I started teaching 5 years ago, but I am still teaching. If I say, I taught for 5 years, did you notice? This time I have used simple past tense. I taught for 5 years. This means this action is completed and I am not teaching anymore. I am not teaching any longer. But if I say, I have taught for 5 years, this means I started it 5 years ago, but I am still teaching. We also use present perfect tense for unspecified past, when we don't know exactly when something happened. So we don't know a specified time of the action. Either we don't know the specified time, either it is irrelevant. For example, if I say, I've been to China, I didn't mention when I went to China. It is unspecified past. Or maybe it is multiple instances. For example, if I say I've been to China, maybe I've been to China many times. Okay, but if I specify the time, then I must use past simple tense. For example, I must say I went to China in 1998. Okay. Well, if these things are not yet clear, don't worry, because we are going to look at past tense now, and afterwards we'll also see the differences between present perfect and past simple tense. Don't just hang on a little, and we'll see how to differentiate between the two tenses. Okay, we move on to the structure of simple past tense. This is something that probably you already know. In order to form simple past tense, we start our statement or a positive sentence with subject. Afterwards, we use the second form of the verb, and then object is optional. For example, the elephant crossed the river. The elephant is the subject here, crossed is the verb here, second form of the verb here, and the river is an object. This structure is called simple past tense. For negative sentences, all we do is we add did not after the subject, and once we use did not, the second form changes into first form. So he did not wait for us. Okay, remember that this time I am using wait. I am not saying waited. Why? Because we have already used the word did or did not with it. So in order to form negative sentences in simple past tense, we say he did not wait for us. For question, we use did before the subject. Okay. And well, you don't need the brackets around subject here, because subject is not optional, whereas the object is. Anyway, did you try this shirt on? So that's a yes/no question. You start with did, and once again, when we have used the helping verb did, the verb form is converted to first. So we don't say did you tried, right? It should be did you try this shirt on. Okay, and if we don't want to ask yes/no question, we want to ask some longer question that requires longer answers, we can start our question with a question word. The rest of the sentence remains the same: did, subject, first form of the verb plus object. All we do is just add question word before the helping verb did. So we can add any question word here. We can start our question with why. Why did you come late? We can say how did you come? Where did you come from? How often did you visit your parents? Etc., etc. So you can say, you can use any question word here. So you see, it is pretty easy to differentiate between simple past tense and present perfect tense as far as their structures are concerned. But when it comes to understanding their functions, we need to be a bit careful. Let's move on now to finding the differences between the uses of these two tenses. Present perfect simple and past simple. Let's try to differentiate between the two. Okay, we use present perfect simple for unfinished actions that started in the past and continue to the present. Unfinished actions that started in the past and continue to the present. For example, we say, I have known Ahmed for 10 years. This means this action of knowing Ahmed started 10 years ago and I still know him. So I will use present perfect tense when I want to give the meaning that I still know him. Whereas if I say, I knew Ahmed for 10 years, that means if I use past simple tense, rather than saying I have known, I simply say I knew Ahmed for 10 years. This means that I don't meet him anymore. Probably it means that he moved away and we lost touch. So past simple is used for actions that started in the past but they do not continue to the present. You can recall earlier I said that present perfect is used for actions in the past that have some connection to the present, whereas past simple does not make this connection to the present, and therefore it is called past. Okay, another difference between the two tenses is, between the use of two sentences, is that present perfect simple is used or present perfect tense is used for a finished action in someone's life when the person is still alive. That means for life experiences. As I was talking about my life experiences, right? And I was using present perfect tense for that. So if someone is still alive, he or she can use present perfect tense for narrating his or her life experiences. But past simple is used for a finished action in someone's life when the person is dead. So you say, my great-grandmother went to Mexico 3 times. Whereas if your brother is still alive, you can say, my brother has been to Mexico 3 times. So this has been actually suggests that my brother can go there once again. He may or may not go there again. So this has connection to the present. Whereas my grandmother went to Mexico 3 times means that this action is finished. It does not have connection to the present. So basically, if you don't understand the other differences, keep one difference in mind. And that is, if an action started in the past and it has some connection to the present, we will use present perfect tense for that. Otherwise, we'll use simple past tense. Okay, let's move on and look at few more differences between present perfect and past simple. We use present perfect tense for a finished action with a result in the present. So again, you see there is a connection to the present because the action finished in the past, but its result, its consequence can be seen in present. So if you say, I've lost my keys, the result is that I can't get into my house now. So think of a situation where you arrive at your home and you tell your family members that I have lost my keys. So this means the result is that we can't enter into the house. So instead of saying I lost my keys, you should say I've lost my keys in this situation. Whereas for past simple, we use a finished action with no result in the present. For example, if you say I lost my keys yesterday, it was terrible. This means that the consequence of losing the key is not in the present. It was terrible, but it doesn't have any consequence or any result in the present now. Probably I got new keys yesterday, or probably I found them now. Therefore, there is no result of this action to the present. Okay, we also use present perfect tense with an unfinished time word. Unfinished time word is something like unspecified time. That's something we discussed earlier. So for example, we say this week, this month, today. For example, we say, I've seen John this week. I've seen John lately. I've seen John recently. Okay? But if I use the specific time word like last week, last month, yesterday, a finished time word, I use past simple. I saw John last week. Okay? This week is not a finished time word. This week is still going on. This month is still going on. Today is still going on. Whereas last week, last month, and yesterday are over. So for finished time word, I use past simple tense. And for unfinished time word, I use present perfect tense. Okay, now let's have a short exercise, and we try to find out which tense is useful here. Question number 1 is, he dashed there when he was a child. So what should you say? He has lived there when he was a child, or he lived there when he was a child? Yes, those of you who say he lived there when he was a child, they are right, because when he was a child is the specific time, and this is finished time word. So this time is over. When he was a child suggests that he is not a child anymore. He is probably grown up. So we will use simple past form, which is lived. We will not use present perfect form, which is has lived. So the right answer is, he lived there when he was a child. And the reason for choosing past tense is, when he was a child is a specific time which is over. Okay, question number 2. I haven't seen her since last year, or I didn't see her since last year. Yes, I haven't seen her since last year is the correct answer, because of the word since. So we only know that the action started last year, but the action still continues even to the present. Therefore, we will use present perfect tense here. I haven't seen her since last year means that last time I saw her last year, but I have not seen her after that, and I'm still not seeing her. Okay. Question number 3. They left a few minutes ago, or they have left a few minutes ago. Right, this time you would say they left a few minutes ago. You would use past simple. Why? Because a few minutes ago is a finished time word. Okay, we are giving a specific time, and this time is over now. It doesn't continue to the present. Therefore, we will use past simple tense. Okay, question number 4. She has not been unemployed since she left school, or she was not unemployed since she left school. Again, you see the word since suggests that this action started in the past when she left school, but it still continues to the present. Therefore, we will use present perfect tense. We'll say she has not been unemployed since she left school. Okay, question number 5. They finalized the contract last week, or they have finalized the contract last week. Yes, you are right. We will use past simple. We will say they finalized the contract last week because of the sentence, because of the phrase last week. Last week is a finished specified time in the past. It is last week. Last week is over. It doesn't have connection to the present. Therefore, we will use simple past tense here. Okay, we continue with the exercise. Question number 6 is, the film hasn't started yet, or the film didn't start yet. Those of you who say the film hasn't started yet are right, because of the word yet. Yet means so far. So far again tells us that we are still waiting for it. So if you say the film hasn't started yet, it means that we are waiting for the film, and the result in the present is that we are still waiting. So again, an action that has result in the present, we use present perfect for it. So the right form is, the film hasn't started yet. Okay, question number 7. She was ill since Thursday, or she has been ill since Thursday? Yes, you are right. Again, because of since, we'll use present perfect. So she has been ill since Thursday. Okay, question number 8. I have finished the project last night, or I finished the project last night? You're right. We should say I finished the project last night, because we have last night, which is this time is over, and this is specified time. Okay, number 9. Look, someone has left their handbag in the room, or someone left their handbag in the room. We'll use has left because of the word look. It is immediate past, and second thing is that probably we are focusing on the result of this action. So if you say someone has left their handbag in the room, probably we should take some action. The result is the consequence of someone's leaving their handbag in the room is that we should find him out, we should find them out. Question number 10. Did you ever go to Rome, or have you ever been to Rome? That's right. Probably this was the easiest question, because we have been making questions with have you ever. So have you ever been to Rome is the right choice here, right tense here. Okay, so these sentences should give you some idea of when to use present perfect tense and when to use simple past tense. Very often in speech we combine these two tenses. For example, we say, have you completed your diploma? And someone responds to it by saying, yes, I have. And then our next question can be in past simple tense, and we can say, when did you complete it? Now, because we are asking about time when, we must use past simple tense. So I repeat the dialogue. Have you completed your diploma? Yes, I have. When did you complete it? I completed it last year, or I completed it just a week ago. Right? All right, now here we read a dialogue between Henry and Shayla, and you will see we'll find out which sentences are in past simple and which sentences are in present perfect, and we'll try to analyze why present perfect and past simple sentences have been used here. Henry says, hello Shayla, I didn't expect to see you here. Right? So I didn't expect to see you here is the past tense, simple past tense. Oh, I have been here for quite a while. I have been here for quite a while. Present perfect tense has been used because Shayla came here a little while ago and she is still here. So she uses present perfect tense. When did you arrive? Henry asks the question in past simple because he is asking about the particular specified time. When? Just after lunch is the answer. Henry says, did Patrick pick you up from the station? Now the time is not mentioned, but the time is connected to this. When did you come? So it is assumed that Patrick picked her up from the station. So we use the past simple tense here because the time is not asked this time. This time time is assumed, or it is a shared knowledge between the speaker and the reader, a speaker and the listener. Shayla says, no, it was a nice day, so I walked. She is referring to this particular time, specified time, so she is using past simple tense. Henry says, have you eaten anything since you have been here? Okay, this time no specified time has been mentioned, so present perfect tense has been used. Shayla says, yes, I had afternoon tea with the girls. This is past tense. Had is the second form of have. Remember, this is not present perfect because we don't have the main verb here. Had is the main verb. So this is past simple tense. What did you think of Penny? Penny is name of one of the girls. She has grown up a lot since I last saw her. Because of the word since, she has used she has grown up, present perfect tense. And how did you find Rebecca? She didn't join us. I haven't seen her yet. Because of the word yet, she uses I haven't seen her. So this is, it might be pretty confusing in the beginning, but you should practice it, and you will soon be good at it. So I would like you to look at this dialogue closely, analyze it, and next time you should be able to use both the tenses in your own speech or writing. So here are some practice situations for you. Situation number 1 is that you suppose that you are a TV anchor. You are going to introduce a celebrity or a famous person by giving a list of his or her achievements. Just as the TV anchors do, you introduce your guest to the audience. So you say, now you are going to meet Mr. Wasim Akram. He has done this, he has played so many matches, he has taken so many wickets. So you can use present perfect tense here to introduce your celebrity. Okay, the second situation is that you are going to write and act out a dialogue combining the present perfect and past simple. You have just looked at a dialogue between Henry and Shayla. So taking it as an example, and I would also provide this dialogue to you as a handout. So taking it as an example, I would like you to prepare your own dialogue, write down your own dialogue, and then find a partner to role play it, to act it out. So with this, we come to the end of lecture number 13. Lecture number 13 was about sharing life experiences. And in this lecture, we learned how to use simple past tense for narrating past events. We learned how to use present perfect tense for experiences. And we learned how to differentiate between the two tenses. Hope this lecture has been very useful for you, and I hope that you would practice it in your own speech and writing and become and master it. Thank you very much.